Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Sorry for the slightly longer starting time. I was taking care of something, but we are back at it, and today what we're going to be doing is continuing on with this grow board container. So remember, I was adding some new art for this, and I had to make this a polygon click area, which actually went pretty well. But we still have a lot to do on that screen, so that's what we're going to be working on today. But before I get to that, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to change cards, combine effects, and create your own synergies. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. Also, you could join the Patreon if you so choose. The financial support here definitely helps out a lot. But you also get a number of unique perks. So if you subscribe at this tier for at least 1 month, you will get an Alchemortis Steam key sent to you. So this is like a pre-purchase of the game. And I will also put your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So if you want to be credited as helping to create Alchemortis through your generous donation, definitely check that out. And again, you will get an Alchemortis Steam key, so you won't have to buy the game again. So it's like a pre-purchase. And you can also check out my Udemy courses if you want to learn how to build games in the Godot engine. There's several Udemy courses. There's a little bit of something for everyone, I think. This is the online co-op multiplayer course. So if you've been wanting to learn how to use the multiplayer functionality in Godot, this is a great way to do it. But I also have other courses that cover different topics. So definitely check that out. And of course, you could join the Discord that's linked below. And what else? Anyway, everything's linked below. If you're interested in helping me in any way, check out the description, and I appreciate all of the support. All right, hello, Falsefe. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Hello, Jahar. Happy weekend. Yes, indeed. A the and welcome. Good to see you again. All right. So what was I doing here? I think I pretty much got this working, if I'm not mistaken. So I obviously need to finish. Let's see. So that should be saying north, right? Yeah, north. And then if I click in here. Cool. All right. Well, that's working. So I guess I'll set up the other. I will set up the other ones. What did I just do? Okay, anyway. Editor only is on, okay. Hello, Light Tiramisu, welcome back. Good to see you. So we'll go ahead and do these other ones. I'll just duplicate this, I guess. West, clickable, control. And we're gonna figure out what we wanna do about these. Figure out what we want to do about the animations and whatnot, but the outline target is west, and then the click area polygon is this one. Okay, and then I need to change the layout transform size to 3976, and we'll just go ahead and mosey this on down. There we go. Is that right? There we go. Okay, and then we'll take this polygon here. We're going to rotate it through here because that's a little bit easier to do than rotating the polygon itself. Okay, that should be fine. Cool, we can hide that. I should probably lock these as well. Let's lock those. I will lock these now that they're set in place. Lock the visuals, why not? Okay, and then we need to do south. South clickable control. Okay. This needs to be flipped again. 7639. There we go. Okay. I think that's right. Yeah. Okay, lock that, and we can hide this. Cool. So let's just make sure that I've set that all up correctly. There we go. So now we've got polygon click areas that can highlight in situations where a rectangle is not precise enough. Very nice. Now what does this look like if I don't press anything? So I might want to change this actually, and I'm going to do that right now before I... oh, hold on, I gotta take this phone call real quick. Sorry about that. Man, the audacity of these veterinarians who are calling me to confirm my appointments, like, seriously? Gosh. They're streaming. It's very rude to interrupt me while I'm streaming. Anyway. So I need to go to the grow board here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to fill all these spots in. North. I think if I fill all these spots in, well, here's the thing. It depends on what kind of animation I want to do with these. I was thinking I could do some kind of like, I don't know exactly what I don't know. Maybe I need to figure this out. Maybe I will hold off on doing any more of this work here until I figure out what animation I'm doing. But that's all right. Hello, Bubblegum Lord. Welcome back. Good morning, Ninja Link. Good to see you. The call is phoning. I really love the art style of this game. Hello, Mole. Simple but very appealing. Great color palette. Very inspiring. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did not choose the color palette myself. I found it on low spec, but all of the art that is being done with this palette is being done 100% by hand by me. So I very much appreciate that you like the art. It means a lot to me. Anyway, I guess we could just get it functional first, and then we can do the animations. So we've got these clickable controls. We're probably going to want the south and east, or west, I guess. On grow button pressed directions. So we're going to replace these with on grow button pressed, vector 2i dot up, vector 2i dot right, vector 2i dot down, and vector 2i dot left. Now we want to get a clickable coordinator in here. And all this clickable coordinator does is it takes a list of the clickable controls. So I could grab all these. Actually, I don't think I even need to do that. I think I could just do this. Highlight all those. Oh, it didn't work. Never mind. I was trying to be fancy. It's not going to work. So we'll do east, north, west, south. Okay. And then, so all those clickable controls are in. So we call this play in. I'm going to set the clickable control. No, I need to get a reference to it. Let's just get a reference to it up here. private clickable coordinator, clickable coordinator. We're going to take that clickable coordinator and we're going to do disable mouse input. So what that should do is that should make it so that I can't click on anything if I did it correctly. Okay, so nothing can be clicked. And then when we call play in, obviously we're going to want to do an animation in here first, but we also want to do clickable coordinator, enable mouse input there. Okay. Now when we played fade out, yeah, we're probably going to want to disable it again. So clickable coordinator, disable mouse input. Good morning, Emerson. Clickable coordinator, abstract factory builder, yeah. Okay, so on grow button pressed, that's already good. So yeah, I guess we could figure out what we want to do about the animation here. If I do vector 2.1 times 200, is that going to be too much? Yeah, it's a little bit too much. We'll do times 100. Just trying to make this easy to debug so I don't need to worry about it too much. Okay, there we go. So we're going to want this to slide in off screen. So let's do that. We're going to want... Now, how do I want to do this? I may do a little bit of a different animation here. We'll try it. We'll see how it works. So I think I want to make the outer ring slide in here. So I'll access that as a unique name. Let's grab a reference to that outer ring. Node private sprite 2D, outer ring. When we do play in, we'll do visual utilities dot position node off screen. Outer ring. Var tween is equal to create tween. Tween position, outer ring, vector 2.0, 0.5f. We want to do out. No. Oh, back? No, I want to do transition type dot cubic with the ease type of out. Let's see what that does. And I probably want to do a little bit of a delay here. We'll give it just like a 1 second wait time if we're in debug mode. So that way we can just properly see. Okay, that works. Does that work? Oh, I still have the mock-up in here. We could delete that. Okay. So that's part one. Let's just see what happens if I... So these positions are not zeroed out, which is going to be a problem. Yeah, let's just do this. So I'm going to add a new child node here, node 2D. This node 2D has the proper position, 7622. So we'll do east root, and then we'll put east underneath that. And so now this east sprite position is zeroed out. And so I like to do that whenever I'm doing my tweens. If I'm trying to make a tween, you know, animate from off screen and then return to its standard position, it's much easier to do that in code if the default position is always 0, right? And this is just true generally if you're doing animations. What I will try to do is I'll try to structure my scene tree by adding extra node 2Ds in a way that makes the thing that I'm animating, the actual sprite that I'm animating, have its default position at 0. So I know whenever I'm animating that if I ever want to animate the thing in relation to its default position, or send it back to the default position, or reset it to the default position, that default position is always vectored to 0, right? Otherwise, what I'd have to do is I'd have to keep track of, for example, this north here, it is positioned at 22.5. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to remember, okay, north is at 22.5 and east is at 76.22 and south is at whatever, 90.40 or whatever it is. And that's like very, very hard to keep track of. But with the way I'm setting it up here, everything's vector 2.0. If I'm animating the north or the south or the west, their default positions are vector 2.0, right? So an easy way to do that too is, so this north sprite here is 22.5. Instead of having to create a new node and type in 22.5, what I do is I just add a node 2D as a child that inherits its parent position. And the way that the Godot editor works is that this will retain its positioning. So if I move this out as a child now, it's going to stay in the same spot, but now it's relative to the root. So this transform now is 22.5. And then I can put north under here, and this has its transform set to 0, 0, but it's still in the same spot on the screen. So I don't need to actually change anything there, and I could just do north root here, and that's it. So we just do it again, node 2D, put this above south, put south underneath it, south root, and then we do the same for west. So we do node 2D, west root, put this here, put that there. Then we can, of course, lock all these. Yeah, and so then I'm going to want all of these roots. Or no, I'm going to not want the roots. I will want these instead. And now we can grab sprite 2Ds for all of those. And those will be easy to animate now. Sprite 2D, north, east, south, west. Okay, and then we're going to do for each var sprite in new outer ring visual utilities position node off screen sprite. Okay, let me just see if that works. That's very smart. Good tip. You're welcome. I do the same in Unity though. Yeah. South is 5. Considering Godot for next game, do you recommend? Yes, absolutely. Actually, I'm in a Discord server with some other game devs, and somebody tagged me in a message yesterday. They said, "Hey, Firebelly, I found this Reddit post that you made on this Reddit post that you made in the Godot subreddit from 7 years ago." And I was like, oh my gosh, 7 years ago. So yes, I would absolutely recommend Godot. I've been using Godot for at least 7 years, but probably would that be longer? Yeah, probably longer. Probably closer to 8 or 9 years. I don't know when I started using it. 2017, I think. But anyway, all that is to say, yes, I absolutely recommend Godot. I mean, I think I should caveat that by saying, like, you should evaluate all the tools that are available to you. Godot is perfectly fine for my purposes, but it depends on what you're trying to do, and it also depends on where your proficiencies are, and also it kind of depends a lot on personal preference. I think that Unity is going to work better just naturally for some people than Godot would, or than Unreal would, or than these other engines would. So I would strongly encourage you to play around with Godot, to check out Godot. There's plenty of Godot tutorials available for you. But yeah, I mean, it's, don't choose the tool simply because some really cool, awesome YouTuber told you to. I think it would still be smart to evaluate the tools that are available to you and make a decision from there. But yes, I absolutely recommend Godot. Yes, yep. I just got off from my holiday break and I kind of feel aimless right now. Don't even know what I want to do. Yeah. Are there any interesting game jams coming up? I got to do a game jam again. I always like doing those. Okay, so these are working. So now we're going to animate these as well. So we got this. Let's do tween.tween position north, vector 2.0, 0.5f, cubic, set delay, thank you. Set delay 0.2. This is where Copilot is really nice. And we're going to do tween. One of the nice things about using C# is that I can write extension methods for the Godot classes. So I have this tween action here, which makes this a lot easier. So instead of writing callable dot from every time, I can just do tween action, put this in here. And this tween action here just basically wraps that in a callable and uses the tween callback. So it's just reducing the amount of code that I have to write. All right, let's see what that does. How were my holidays? They were good. They were good. I cannot really complain about it. Always enjoy the holidays. If you plan on making an amount of money, Godot being open source and not needing a license is a great perk. Yes. Although the flip side to that is that if Unity makes it a lot easier than Godot to make your game, I don't think Unity starts taking a fee until you make some pretty significant amount of money. I could be wrong about that, but if you've never made a game before and you've never sold a game before, then the considerations about how much you have to pay the engine in license fees should be probably less of a consideration, because you don't even know if you can make a game that you could sell first. So the most important thing is use the tool that allows you to just make a game, period. And then if you have a track record of making successful games, then yeah, I think the cost of licensing can become a concern after that. But yeah, I think that the first focus should be just, can I make any money at all? Not worrying about like what Steam's cut is, not worrying about what the licensing fee is. Just try to make a game that you can even sell first, and then worry about it later. But if you already like Godot and you already want to use Godot, then yeah, not having to worry about licensing ever is certainly a great bonus. I'm just saying I wouldn't necessarily use that as like one of my main considerations when choosing an engine. But that's just me. That's just me. There's Godot Wild Jam going on right now. Themes repurposed. Oh, interesting. I could definitely make a Necromancer game out of a repurposed theme. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome. But they'd love to change the license terms anytime. That's true, yeah. In the end, use an engine that you feel comfortable with. Yeah, that's basically it, yeah. I mean, I hope Unity keeps shooting themselves in the foot, and I say that purely selfishly because every time Unity does something stupid, I see a huge influx in sales of my Godot courses. I think last time when Unity went through that big controversy just, a year ago or whatever it was, I had the best course sales month in like a long time. So yeah, Unity, please, by all means, keep shooting yourself in the foot. And I would appreciate that. Thank you. Lamau stonks, yeah. What if Unity takes 1% of the zero I make? Yeah, that's a little bit steep. I don't know about that one. We have made a number of pretty cool games in Unity, but we're getting pretty sick of Unity. Yeah, so the only thing you have to lose by evaluating Godot is time, right? You don't have to pay for anything. There's plenty of resources available, and yeah, I would definitely encourage you to check it out. My hunch, though, is that if you're used to making 3D games in Unity, you're probably going to find that the Godot 3D is somewhat limited compared to Unity. but I'm not an expert in Godot 3D, so I can't say that for sure. You'll have to evaluate it yourself. Hello, Pascal. Welcome back. Good to see you. Noted. Godot wins by doing nothing, yeah. For some reason, Unity just irks me. I don't even know what exactly. Maybe it's just my bias. Can you teach me Godot? Yes, I have Godot courses linked in the description below. So if you like the way that I teach, you'll get plenty of that in the courses and also in a more directed manner. So those are on Udemy. Check them out if you're interested. We only make 2D. Okay, then great. Yeah, I think Godot is a very, very, very good 2D engine. Godot 3D has been getting good lately. Yeah, it has. And I'm still of the opinion that Godot is on the Blender trajectory where, it starts off as like this scrappy open source tool with some limitations, but as it gains in popularity and as people start adopting it, it attracts more talent, it becomes better, and ultimately starts approaching this situation where it's like the de facto industry standard. So I think Godot is basically on the Blender trajectory in the sense that it is this open source software that's becoming so sophisticated and so well made that I think most game development studios are eventually going to start using Godot. That's my opinion. That's probably still a few years out, but yeah, that's my opinion. I'm a little sad that Godot C# doesn't have export to web for jams. Literally the only reason I use Unity. Yeah, and that will come eventually, I'm sure, but it's a little bit disappointing right now. Especially new IK nodes are great. Yeah, I've heard that. I've typically just start every single project 3D. I find that has good sides to 3D with assets were easier to use. EA using it for their light BF6 modding is pretty neat. Yeah, that is very neat. Yeah. Yeah. I am very bullish on Godot, for sure. If Godot, yeah, speaking of stocks, if Godot had, like, was listed on a stock exchange, I'd put my net worth into Godot stonks. Okay, so let's see. My animations are not that great. Oh, this is not parallel, that's why. I think I need to parallelize this. Let's do this. Var subtween is equal to create tween. Subtween.set parallel. And then we're going to do subtween here. And then we're going to do tween dot tween subtween. Subtween. So if you haven't used, this is something that I've recently learned actually. The subtweens are very useful for creating more complex tween behavior. So in this situation, what I want to do is I want to parallelize all of these tweens here and just use delays to control them. So I basically want all of these tween positions to run at the same time. However, that was going to be a little bit hard to manage because I have this parent tween here that's supposed to wait for 1 second if we're in debug mode, but then it also needs to call a function after it's finished. And so what I could do is I can isolate a section of my tween in a subtween by creating a new tween. I can parallelize that new tween very easily, and then when I do tween, which is the parent tween here, tween subtween, and pass in that subtween, this is essentially, so if you just ignore this, this is still running sequentially. So this runs first and it waits for that to finish. Then it will wait for the subtween to finish, and then it will call the function. And so now I can parallelize this subtween here, and this subtween is going to run in parallel, which means all of these tweeners are going to run at the same time. But this overall tween is going to wait for that subtween to finish, meaning that all of the parallel operations have to finish before it moves on. So what that should do is that should just bring everything in very nicely. Yeah, there we go. And then it enables my mouse events, and I can go ahead and click all those. So we also want to do the inner symbol here. And lock this. I'm gonna have to grab that inner symbol. Inner symbol. Okay, and I'm gonna want to put this here as well. Inner symbol, set delay, and then I want to increase these delays here. Okay, let's see what happens there. Invest in Godot now, don't let another Bitcoin situation happen to you, right? I may want to change this. I want to make this more representative of where it's going to be positioned on the screen in the future. So let's do new vector 2. Let's do 350, 100. Because the speed of the animation kind of depends on how far off the left edge of the screen it is. So if I want to make it look a little bit more like what it will look like in game, I need to push it over to that side of the screen. Yeah, there we go. That looks fine. I've been using your callable state machine method since I saw it in one of your videos. It's been a game changer. I never liked the node-based state machines. Always see people recommend for Godot. Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, I definitely didn't. Glad that you're getting some use out of that, Alex. Yeah, the callable state machines, I even do that in C# as well. But it's a delegate state machine instead of a callable, but it's the same concept. Node-based is great for visualization for getting into state machines, I think. Anything other than that is overkill. Hello, Yato. Your tweens make so much sense, twin. Is there any downside to just accessing every node in the tree as a unique name? I don't think so. I still think, like, for semantic purposes, you should only mark nodes as unique that you need to reference. Like, I wouldn't just go ahead and, like, highlight all of this and do access as unique name. I definitely wouldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, I use unique anytime there's a level of nesting more than a direct child. Yeah, I'll just use a unique name to grab it because it's just easier, you know? Some time ago, someone on Godot subreddit shared his tween tutorial on itch. I loved it. It helped me so much. Can you share it with the class? Can I post links in chat? You cannot, but if you are in the Discord, you can share it in the game dev channel for anyone that is also in the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord and you want the link, well, you're gonna have to join the Discord. But yeah, YouTube will not allow you to post links. Okay, so I want to also handle the click now. Okay, go. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're like an attention goblin. You're like an attention goblin. Can I help you? Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me put you down. Hey, cat. Hello, Derag. I just bought your course. Hope to be developing some decent games soon. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Favorite gremlin? Kitty, I will join later. I'm not home right now, but you could search in Google Godot Interactive Tween Guide and just look for itch links. Okay, so now I need to do an animation for when the thing is clicked. I kind of want to make it feel like all runic and stuff. So what I want to do is I may need to change... these. Let me think about this for a second. I'm trying to think of an animation I can do on click. I don't think it's going to look very good if I scale it. So what I was thinking is when I click on one of these, it could like bounce a little bit. Maybe there can be like a, maybe I can do like a, on grow button pressed. Do I have like a, let me think. Do I have a visual utilities fade in, fade highlight? Fade highlight. So let me try something. I'm going to add another argument to this. I'm going to do north, east, west, south, sprite 2D, sprite. I'm going to do visual utilities dot fade highlight. Fade highlight out. I don't think that's going to do what I want it to do. But let's see. Oh, actually, that's kind of good. I don't know if that fade highlight is cycling through the colors correctly. Oops, I don't want to change the time there. Time. We're going to change that to 2 seconds. Let's see. I don't know if that shader is working correctly. I might have to fix that. Oh, maybe it's fine. No, it's not right. It's not right. I'm gonna have to fix that. Anyway, we'll handle that later. Let me write that down, actually. Fade highlight shader is not properly stepping through colors. So we'll fix that. But for now, we'll leave it. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'll do time 0.25. Then we can do like a camera shake as well. Yeah, that'll work for now. So we'll do like a camera shake. That feels like it's not Well, I'll worry about that all later. Okay, so I'm going to do a new method in here. Let's do private void play click animation. Play click animation. Sprite. So fade that, and then we're going to want to do... We're going to want to do what? I think I want to fade out everything else. Var directions is equal to new. North, east, southwest. For each var direction and directions. If direction is equal to sprite, continue. Var tween equals create tween. Tween.set parallel. And then I'm going to want to do this. Oh, this needs to be a traditional for loop. No, not tween position. Actually, I'm going to do... Yeah, I don't need to do this, actually. Visual utilities dot fade out sprite. We'll do a delay. I'm going to need to pass in the delay as well. Okay, for var I equals 0, I is less than directions dot length. Fade out sprite I times. Let's do I plus 1 times 0.05. Hello, Bomb That Implodes. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. What's this panel for? This is the new Grow Board event art. So we're getting rid of the crystal and replacing it with this. Yeah, this is the Grow Board event. So yeah, it's going to grow the board. Maybe scale so it looks like you pressed it down. Good morning, Pocket Pixie. Yes, this is still the same game. I'll be working on this game for many more months. It didn't work. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Okay. Oh, do I accidentally have... I think I messed up a sprite here. Yeah, here. West. Oops. Let's re-export the west here. Export layers, save sprite. That should fix it. Did that mess up my position at all? It did not. Okay. Okay, so we'll do that. And then what we can do is let's do a tween. These are our tasks. So let's do list, task, fade out tasks. Fade out tasks dot add. We'll do an async here. Async void. We don't need to add that one as a task. We could do, oh wait, task dot when all. Fade out tasks, then we'll do a tween. Actually, I don't need to do that. We'll do visual utilities. Fade out. Actually, maybe I will do this. Visual utilities fade out, outer ring. Fade out inner symbol, visual utilities, fade out sprite. Maybe we'll just do like an await here. Okay. That works. Now the question is what I want to do here. So this should actually be probably... Maybe I'll just handle it all in here. Clickable coordinator dot disable mouse input. I'm going to get rid of this play fade out here. And then I will emit a signal in here. Finished event handler, I guess. It's a little bit different than the way I'm handling other things, but I think it's probably fine. So now we got to go to the grow board event state machine. Grow board container dot finished plus equals on finished, I guess. Change state cleanup. Get rid of that. This doesn't need to be here anymore. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do that. Okay, I guess we'll just see what that looks like. Go to project debug, generate test map. Have you plan to do any 3D projects in Godot? I would like to do it at some point, but it's not in the immediate plans, no. Where do you edit your videos? I've been wanting to learn DaVinci Resolve to make my own videos. Yeah, I use DaVinci Resolve. Been following the channel for a while. Love indie dev vlogs in general, but the game really has my hopes up. Any idea when it will be out? Sometime this year. It will be out sometime this year, ideally within the first half of the year. But I'm in a situation where, oops, that's not right. I'm in a situation where I don't want to release the game before it's ready. So if I need to keep iterating on a lot of the game mechanics to make it ready, then that's what I'll do. But I'm hoping that that won't take too long and we can have it out in the first 6 months of this year. Can I post the name of our latest game for everyone to check out? Also has some nice gloomy pixel aesthetics going on. Yeah, for sure. You could absolutely do that. You can share that here or you could share it in the Discord if you want. Is it good? Do you have any tips? Yeah, I mean, DaVinci Resolve is one of those like industry standard tools. My tips would be like, yeah, just typical tips. Just watch some like crash course YouTube videos on how to do it. Typically, like the things that you just need to know how to do is how to import clips, how to cut clips, how to grab sections from clips, and yeah, basically just like the cut and edit behavior. that's basically what, I mean, DaVinci Resolve is a very powerful tool, but basically all I do is like, I just edit on the timeline. I just cut clips and rearrange them and all that stuff. So it's not, it looks intimidating, but it's not that hard. And then of course the rendering settings is the other big thing of how to export the video. It looks intimidating, but it's really not that hard. It's pretty straightforward, especially if you're just using it to like edit a bunch of simple videos together. So this grill board container actually needs to be larger. Custom minimum size, what is this? 120? Is it 120 by 120? Nice. Okay, I wonder if that will fix that. Cool. I think that works. I'm going to change this a little bit, and I'm probably going to add some more particles and stuff too. Like, I think it would be nice to do some kind of scaling or whatever on click there. But we can certainly figure that out. And I'm also going to do firefly particles not emitting equals false. We're going to turn these off by default. Yeah, so we can definitely give that some more impact. One thing that I can do pretty easily is I can do event camera.shake. Maybe we'll try that. With sound effects and stuff too, that's going to feel a lot more chunky, but I could probably do some more visual here. Okay, so we need to run the game to check the game camera shaking. Yeah, that works. Probably going to want to do a label as well. So let's add a label. Center that. We will make this a little bit larger. Actually, do I want to do that? Probably not. Okay, I'm going to have to change this layout a little bit. Container sizing, expand. Put the label under there. Okay. Access is unique name. Node private label. Private string label format text. Label format text is equal to label.text. Okay, and then we need to do the visibility toggle targets in these. Visibility toggle targets, add element, label. Okay, and then I need to connect to all these as well. North clickable control dot hover entered plus equals on hover entered. And then we're going to do up. Oops. East, south, that. Okay. On hover entered, string direction, label.text equals string format, label format text direction. We don't need that click player. Okay. What is that going to do? Hopefully that works. Oh, that's unfortunate. Visibility toggle target is not working properly. I wonder if I have an order of operations issue in there. It's working for the most part, but sometimes it doesn't show up. So I might have to change this logic. So on the ready, for target invisibility toggle targets, outline, unoutline. So outline is being called and on mouse entered. On mouse entered is being called here. Okay, so handle polygon click area. I wonder if I want to do this. Callable dot from on mouse entered dot call deferred. So we'll call that deferred. We'll handle the mouse exited first. I hope that doesn't break anything, but we'll see. So we basically want any of the exit signals to be processed first before the mouse entered gets processed, because this clears a bunch of state and this sets some new state. So if I have an on mouse entered that happens before an on mouse exited gets called, then whatever state is set in here is going to be undone by that. So the easy way around that is just let all the on mouse exiteds handle first, and then in a deferred fashion call that mouse entered. And that should be safe because that's pretty narrowly tailored to this handle polygon click area here, which is a special case for this event. Could be used in other events as well, but this is going to ensure that that state is always updated. So now we've got grow board left, up, right, down. And then we click that, and then that goes away. Very nice. So we could definitely add some more visual effects here, and I might do so. But there's one thing that I want to do before I forget with respect to the art, which is I don't like how these are highlighting. So the radial highlight, I don't like it being inside. So I'm going to fill all these inside parts with black, and that should fix that. So we're going to do that next. Do you have a custom debug configuration? Kind of. It's just, you can just put your own custom project settings in your project settings file. And I just set up a bunch of these custom properties, and then the way that I interact with that in code is I have this game debug static class, which has constants, or they're not technically constants, but de facto constants for all of the game debug settings that are custom. And then I just have a bunch of helper methods. So like is generate test map enabled, get test player cards, is skip menu enabled, so on and so forth. And then I can just reference this static class and call its methods in my code wherever necessary. And all of those these are all gated behind is debug build checks. So what that does is that makes sure that if I do a release build of the game, none of these debug settings will be accounted for, which is what I want, right? So yeah, it's kind of a custom configuration. Are you going to make a demo for this game as well? Yes, I will have a demo for sure. It's called Death Howl. It's a Souls-like deck builder. Oh wait, you're the developer of Death Howl. I think we were just talking about that yesterday. Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday. Well, welcome. Welcome. I'm definitely going to check out Death Howl for sure. Death Howl on Steam, yeah. That's amazing. It's pretty fun, and the art is amazing. I need to check it out. Let's take a look at it right now. Death Howl. I've not seen this game yet, so... Dang, look at those positive reviews. Well, congratulations on the success of your game. It looks like a huge success. The art is beautiful. Deck Builder Souls-like is also just a very, very cool idea. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Into the Breach. Was Into the Breach a big inspiration for the card mechanics and the combat? Dang. There's a demo as well. Very cool. Yeah, everyone go check out Death Howl. I may have to get this. I don't think I'm a legend. I think anyone who can sell that many copies and make a game that looks this beautiful and is this enjoyed by players, I would classify that person as a legend for sure. Yeah, people in the chat were mentioning it just yesterday. Art is clean. Yes, it is. The art is very, very beautiful. Into the Breach was an inspiration. Also Slay the Spire, Final Fantasy Tactics, and more. Yeah, this looks great. This looks amazing. I would add it to my wish list, but I'm not logged in on Steam on my private browser, so I'm going to do that later. Very cool. Very cool. I'm glad to have you in the chat. I feel honored to have you in the chat. Now you can tell me all the ways in which my game is terrible. No, it's great. That's great. Definitely a legend, yes. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to fill these in. Anyway, what does this scene do? Hello, Divya. This is to grow your player board. So this is to increase the amount of grid cells you have on your board. Don't make me blush. Your stuff is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay. So yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. I'm going to get a refill on my coffee. And then when I come back, we will try to tighten this up, make it feel a little bit nicer. And then we have to do a couple of other things with this too. Like we have to replace the icon on the map. Since it's no longer a crystal, this is going to have to be changed here. So we're going to fix that. And then we will see where we go from there. All right, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. I'm recharging. Death Howl looks cool. It does. It does. I think Unity, right? Yeah, Unity. We consider Godot maybe next time. Yeah, Pocket Pixie doesn't like dark games, I guess. I think you've said that before. Did Unity take all the money? I only did programming and game design. Sorry for hijacking chat. No. That's all good. I'm glad when people share their projects in here. We've got a lot of people that are working on their own stuff while they've got the stream on in the background. So I definitely think that this chat is like it's a space where you can share what you're working on, talk about your games with each other, ask questions. Doesn't have to be all about me. Unity is the region I switched over to Godot because everything is royalty free. So other than the theme, how do you make a deck builder Souls-like? That is a great question. It's reminding me to keep learning Godot. All right, let's... so yeah, I was going to fill all of these in now because I don't like the way the highlighting is working. So the easy way to fix that is just to do this. Can I actually... No. I wonder if there's an easy way to fill in all these spaces, but I guess the fill tool is going to have to be it. Okay, that's west. Let's do south. Actually, can I do something sneaky here? Can I sneak this? If I copy this, and I paste this here, and I just rotate it. Oops. I flubbed it. Oh my gosh. Why is it so hard to rotate things in this program? Yeah. I'm a genius. This may not be that much quicker, but... Oh, I think I may have... Hold on. Maybe it'd just be easier to rotate this. I don't know if that flip transformation is preserving all the pixels, but there we go. Okay, and then north. Boom. I have no idea if that was quicker or not, but it made it feel quicker, which is oftentimes more important than if it's actually quicker. File, scripts, export layers, save sprite. So we'll re-export all those. That should make the outline animation a little bit nicer. Now we're gonna have to wait. I'm just updating my game right now, just improving performance. Very nice. To make the outside of the shape be green, make a new layer of whatever color you want, then with everything filled in, just replace the green with transparency. A fill the color. Oh yeah, that would have worked. Yeah, that would definitely have been a way to get it to work, for sure. Rotating art is the minigame. Okay. So let's go back into Godot here, and all of those are filled in. So now if I look at the outline shader, it should be a little bit nicer when it does the outline. Yeah, there we go. So the way that that outline shader works is it basically just sends out a radial, like a radial swipe from the center of the texture outward to the edges. So it starts in the middle and then it swipes around the edges. So the problem is if there's like transparency inside of the middle of the texture, you can actually quite clearly see the radial effect. It doesn't look like an outline that's swiping around the edges of the texture. But now that I've filled all that in and got rid of all the transparent pixels, that problem has been masked. So let's see what that looks like in game. What program do you use for pixel art? It's called Sprite. It's available on Steam. I think it's either $15 or $20 or something like that. A lot of people are quick to point out that you can also compile it yourself if you have the knowledge of how to do so, and that's free to do. Now, do I want to do some particles for when this gets hit? I don't really know if particles, maybe I can scale it a little bit. I'm going to commit what I have first. Work on grow board art. So we've got that. Okay, I'm gonna see if a little bit of a scale makes a difference here. So unfortunately, what that means is I'm gonna need to reposition these things a little bit. Let's get rid of these. I'm gonna make these. No, do I want to make those hidden? Yeah, that's fine. I'll make these hidden. Reduce some of the visual clutter here. So this east root here. So I need to make this centered, basically. So I need to do plus 76 divided by 2 and plus 11. No, that's not right. That's not even close to right. I need to take this texture size, 3976. Of course it had to be 39. So plus 39 divided by 2. And then plus 76 divided by 2. And then we take this east and we do minus 76 divided by 2. Nope, that's not right either. Well, minus 39 divided by 2. Minus 76 divided by 2. Okay, that works. So now what I've basically done is I've positioned the root so that it's centered there. I'm not going to do any other changes to any of the other ones because it's kind of annoying to set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test this first. So let me grab east root, north root, south root, west root. Node private, node 2D, east root. Come on, Copilot. Come on. I don't want to type this all out myself. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Okay, well, that's fine. East root, north root, south root, west root. Actually, I could do something a little bit tricksy here. Maybe I didn't even need to do that because I could just do this. Far tween is equal to create tween. Tween.tween. Do I have a tween scale? Yeah, so I can do tween scale. Sprite dot get parent. To scale vector 2.1. Let's just do like a 0.25 from vector 2.1 times 1.25. We'll set it to back and out. I have no idea if that's going to work, but let's just click on the east option and see what happens. Oh, nothing happened. Because these are not visible. I should probably also turn on these. You just compile it yourself or pay the money and get updates from Steam. Yeah, I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, that's actually kind of nice. Let's see. I'm the kind of person that's like, if I have the money and I can pay for the convenience, then I will pay for the convenience. You know, I don't necessarily have the time to go and figure out what could potentially turn into a multi-hour compilation process, especially getting all the build requirements set up on Windows and all that stuff. I haven't checked the docs. Maybe it's as simple as run this one command and it does everything for you, but the other thing is like, yeah, if it's like $15, then I pay that price once and I get all the updates. I don't need to compile it myself every time. Okay, do we like the scaling? Maybe with the camera shake it'll look better. Oh yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, that's good. So because the camera shake is at play too, the scale is less noticeable, but it still gives a little bit of impact to that. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we'll go ahead and make that change. We do have a problem where this is not being properly positioned off screen though. So this is not positioned off screen. So I think I can maybe, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see. I may just want to do position node off screen sprite plus whatever, 39. Well, it's going to depend on if it's position node off screen sprite. Off screen position, get node off screen position sprite. It's the vector, so the window width plus sprite.offset.x minus sprite.globalposition.x. Is that right? Sprite offset x. So my offset is -19. So we're taking the width of the screen minus 19 minus the sprite global position.x. Why does that not make sense to me? The problem here is that if I change it, it's going to affect all these other places where I'm already using it. Panel container, panel container, panel container. That's a canvas group. It's a VBox container. These are sprites here. So the health option container is one that we're going to have to take a look at. So let me pin that there. Panel container, panel container, panel container. Overflow container. So we're going to have to take a look at this one as well. Background left, background right. Okay, so we got to look at this one as well. Alter, skull, brazier. So the thing about these is they may not have offsets, so it may be the case that I actually don't need to do anything with this. But we'll check that out. Anyway, let's see if I can get it working in this situation. I think this get node off screen position doesn't make any sense. I think it needs to be width. So if the sprite offset is negative, that's going to move it leftward on the screen. I don't know what the sprite global position.x is. It's setting, so it's using the global position up here, but then it's setting the position here. That doesn't seem right to me. I think this logic is completely wrong, actually. It seems to be working in the game, though, so... I don't know. I don't think this logic is working at all, actually. Because I'm using global positions up here, but then I'm assigning local positions here. This is not even working. Oh, I see. I guess what this is doing is this is returning... Oh, right. So since it's subtracting the global position, it's just getting the difference. Okay, that makes sense. So it's taking the global position of, for example, the control, the X position, and it is subtracting that from the screen width to get the local offset position. Okay, that makes sense. So I guess that does make sense. But the sprite here, I think the offset is the problem. Does this need to be minus? It does need to be subtraction in this case. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, so that's working now. So maybe that was just the only wrong part, but I have to check all those other ones now because I may have broken them. Anyway, let's see what it looks like in game. A-Sprite from Steam is like 50% cheaper for me than the one from their official site due to regional pricing. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I like supporting people that make good tools. Yeah. Welcome back to the stream, by the way, Budget Jim. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome back. Do I not believe in code comments for cases like this to help your future self remember what in the world you were doing? No, I don't. I'm militantly anti-comment. Militantly anti-comment. If my code is not readable to me, then that means that there was a failure in making my code readable. Comments are... I personally regard comments as generally a code smell. If you feel the need to comment something, then it's very likely the case that your code wasn't clean enough to begin with. And so by adopting the constraint of I'm not going to write any comments, you're forced to write your code in a way that is as clear as possible. And in this case, I obviously didn't do that, which is why it was a little bit harder to wrap my mind around. So that was a failure of me writing my code cleanly. And yeah. Now there are certain situations where like you can't get around a comment, especially for like complex algorithms, which you can't really make clean because they're doing a bunch of math operations. Or I think a good example would be like a cryptographic algorithm, right? An algorithm that's doing a bunch of random math to make something cryptographically secure. That's probably a good situation where you'd either want to comment out why certain things are being done, or you might want to leave a comment on the file that links to like documentation that explains in depth how the algorithm is functioning. But for general like gameplay logic and just shuffling data around, I want my code to be clean and readable by itself without having comments. Okay, I think this is looking good. So I need to change all the transforms of all the other nodes. How far can we go? I actually don't think it's... I think I've already exceeded the max number of grow board events that you could have in one run. So I don't think this situation is ever possible, but might as well just try to break it and see what happens. Yeah, I think that's well past what you would expect to get. So you could end up maybe with a board that looks somewhat like this in your run, which may be interesting. I'm expecting, though, that in the normal course of a game, that's not going to be the case. That you're not going to want to grow in one direction all the way, but even still, what is that? So you start with a 4x4 board. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think the max number of grow board events that can spawn on a map is something like 7. So yeah, this kind of board size is not going to be possible, typically speaking. But I may still need to guard against that. Code aesthetic classic. Mainly use comments in my code to see which function is affecting FPS the most. Trying to contain myself. Okay, so I will need to check all these pinned scripts later, but let's focus on getting this done first. So we've got the east route, north. So this needs to be, I already forgot what the dimensions were here. This is 76 by 39. So this north offset needs to be negative 76 divided by 2, negative 39 divided by 2, and then we're going to change this north root position. Plus 76 divided by 2, plus 39 divided by 2. Okay. Let's do the south one now. Offset negative 76 divided by 2. Whoops. Negative 76 divided by 2. Negative 39 divided by 2. And then this south root position. Okay. And then the west root is the last one to do. So this is negative 39 divided by 2. Negative 76 divided by 2. West root, transform, position. I think this is plus 76 divided by 2. No. Plus 19. All right. So I think we're good there now. So now all of these should be aligned properly. And I actually don't need these references anymore. So we'll get rid of those and we'll un-unique these. Okay, that one works. Let's do it again. We'll just check all of them, make sure they're all transformed properly. Okay, and then we'll do north. Okay, that all works. So I may still want to do some more visual effects there. It does look a little bit plain right now, but I think it's okay. It works, that's the most important thing. So now we need to make a new map icon for this. And what I'm thinking about doing is, let's see, well, firstly, do I want to test these before I go any further? No, it's okay. So add scaling to grow board click. So we'll commit that. And now we need to do a map icon. Let's see, resources, data, map, nope, event configuration, grow board. So this is the old icon here. Icon grow board, res assets map. So let's open that file. Assets map. We have the map icons.asp right here. I suppose there's no sense in deleting this icon. I'll just make a new one down here. I think what I want to do is take this inner symbol, if I can, and I'll make a smaller version of this. So copy this, we'll paste it. Oops. Icon grow board alternate. Oh, this is just too big. But what I might be able to do is I may be able to just chop this off. Yeah, we'll chop that off. We'll chop this off. We'll chop that off. Chop this off. I feel like I did the right side wrong. Oh, maybe I didn't. Okay. Okay, and then we can just clean this up a little bit. So, let's see. Actually, now I have to figure out how I want to do this. Oh, that looks kind of good, actually. Yeah, maybe we can do that. Maybe we'll round it a little bit. Okay, that should probably work. And we'll clean up the shading and whatnot as well. That looks too thick to me. Is that too thick? No. Yeah, that's probably all right. Get rid of this. Okay. Alrighty, so let's fix some of this shading here. Oops. Can do something like that, I suppose. That'll work. Put a highlight there. These, I'm gonna do something more like this. Okay, I think that's probably okay. Now I probably also want to fill this in for the highlighting purposes. And this is also not centered. There we go. All right, so now I can export this. Map icon, grow board alternate. Export that. Then we can go in here. We'll just quick load this, grow board alternate. Let's see what that looks like on the map. I like the double pound comments in GTScript on functions or export variables because you can see them in editor and your code when hovering them. Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a different case, I guess. So documenting an API is a little bit of a different situation. So if you're using comments because that's the way that you're supposed to document your API or document like what a function returns and how it behaves, then I would say that's even though that's a comment, it's more so, like I said, an API documentation. And that's just how you're supposed to do it. What I'm more referring to is like you're inside of a function and you're like writing individual comment lines saying like this line does this or this part of the function does that. Well, I don't know. I'm not super in love with the way that looks on the map. So I'm gonna modify this a little bit. If I bring that down, how did I do that? Let's maybe tighten it up a little bit. Why does this one look different? Okay, that's fine. Do this. Do that. You know what I'll do instead? Let's see. We'll figure out what to do about this. We'll figure it out. Okay. Oops. I don't know why that's not exactly centered, but yeah, I don't know what happened here. Okay, let me try a different approach. We will get it working, whether it likes it or not. I will just manually remove this stuff. Oops. Okay, that looks a little bit nicer. That looks a lot more appealing to me. So let's try that instead. Documentation, not comments, yeah. Having made this game, do you see any opportunity to abstract any functionality to plugins? Not sure if Godot has packs of things that are transferable between games. So, kind of, yes. Oh, that does look better. I like that better. So I have a C# utilities library made for Godot, which contains basically just like a bunch of extension methods and also helper classes like state machine functions, state machine classes, and loot table stuff. And I've made a bunch of improvements and additions to a lot of that stuff in Alchemortis, and I haven't yet ported those over to my Godot C# library, utilities library. So I can definitely port those over. There are some things that I did with respect to control nodes, like a pass-through control, which I actually used in Gunforged, and I ported that over here into Alchemortis. But I think that would be useful as a plugin or an add-on for Godot. So there are definitely like little snippets here and there that would be good to abstract into plugins. But in terms of like the broader game systems, there's not really anything that's abstract enough to make into like a generic framework or plugin. So there are certainly some things, but for the most part, no. 40 pretzel, metal clover, mini coin version of grow board symbol. Yeah. All right, thanks for joining, Ninja Link. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you, thank you. All right, so I think I'm pretty satisfied with that. I think that symbol looks nice. It fits much better than the other one. And it's still got like the cardinal directions, which I like. And that was basically just lifted from the center here. And then I can choose to grow the board right, and everything fades away. These firefly particles, though, are wrong, I think. Are they? I guess they're not. Why do I feel like the firefly particles are, like, way over here? Anyway, I don't think that's a huge problem. So that works for now. I'm probably going to want to adjust some of the visuals here. So like, I don't like how these outlines are working. Some of the outlines are rendering behind the other sprites. So in order to fix that, I actually think this is going to be relatively simple. Let me think about this. So let me add another node 2D here. And we're going to do selection roots, I guess. Put these roots in here. The inner root can remain up there. So we've got the selection roots. Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. So on hover entered, string direction, on hover entered. Oh. Let's do this. Node private node 2D. North root. We're going to put all these back. I just deleted them, but that's all right. East root, south root, west root. We're going to put north root here. East root, south root. Node 2D root. Okay. We're going to do this. We're going to do... root dot, I think we can do move child. So root dot get parent, move child. Root dot get parent dot move child. We're going to take that root dot get parent get child count -1. So essentially what we're going to do is when we hover, we're just going to take whatever root is currently hovered and we're going to move it down to the bottom of the tree, and that should make it render last, which means that it will render on top of everything. So now that should fix that issue. So if I go in here, I should see that whenever I hover over something, the outline should always appear over top of the other neighbors. Yeah. So now that outline is not getting cut off at all, which was making it look a little bit weird. Cool. All right. Add grow board map icon. Kerblam. We did it. I think it looks kind of smaller compared to other events. Is that okay? I don't think so. Let's see. Project settings will not generate the test map here. I mean, some icons are bigger, yes, but I don't think it's so disproportionately smaller that it's going to be that noticeable. Debug fog reveal radius 300. I haven't seen the game for a few months. Cool to see all the progress. Yeah, thank you, Sean. It's very cool. So here, yeah, it looks a little bit smaller, but it's not like out of proportion, I don't think. Like the booster is relatively small as well. But I could consider it, consider embiggening it a little bit. I think one of the problems is actually some of these icons are too big. So I think it goes both ways. Like, I think the reagent here is a little bit too big, but that's all right. I may have to do a pass on these just to clean them up a little bit, but I think for now it's okay. Why are all these guys spawning? Let's see. You know what I probably should do is I should probably put a boundary on the camera panning, because I think you can just pan indefinitely. I'm actually curious what happens if I do this. We're going on a little side quest. Where is that? Where is that? Is it in here? Material? No. Fog of War subviewport. This is just rendering black and white. Where is this actually being used? View owners, map, game map. Oh, Fog of War sprite here. That's where it's used. Right. Fog color. What happens if I do this? Probably going to be too bright, but let's see. Oh my. Looks kind of cool, I guess. But probably too much. It was a worthy experiment. So yeah, one problem is that I have these eyeballs that are floating around, and these eyeballs, they inflict a notoriety penalty. But one of the benefits of them is that they also show you, like they reveal nodes that you otherwise wouldn't be able to see. So for instance, I could see, oh, there's an increased board size here, right? And so that kind of gives me a direction that I can move to get there. But the problem is, if I'm on a screen like this and it's all black, I have no idea where to go to find those eyeballs. So I'm going to need to come up with this. I mean, I don't even know if these eyeballs are going to stay. I think they're kind of cool because they do force you to make different decisions about your pathing. But in terms of actually getting use out of the fact that they are revealing nodes that you otherwise wouldn't be able to see, yeah, it's just really hard, I think, to find them. So I'm gonna have to think about that. What if there could be a mini-map on the bottom to show how much of the world you are viewing? A mini-map might work. Mini-map could work, and where you are in comparison to the rest of the entire map. Or maybe an arrow that always points to the player. Yeah, I'm going to need to think about that a little bit, but we'll figure it out. Okay. What should we do next? Which you can click to immediately pan to the player, maybe? Yeah, so I definitely need to have like a button you can click to recenter the camera on the player. But recentering the camera on the player is not necessarily the problem. Anyway, this is done, so that feels good to have done. What else can we do here? So we could either do some new content or we could fix some more bugs. Basically, this to-do list, these are all the things that I need to do before I'm ready to do the next playtest. So it's probably a good idea to get these done. Do I want to add a mini boss node? Unfortunately, I don't think I want to do that for this playtest. That's a little bit out of scope. We're going to try to get to this playtest as quick as we can. Obelisk power for new grill board event. Right. So I'm going to need to do that because I don't currently have an obelisk power for the grill board event. Update map node tooltip to show effects more nicely with icons. Yeah, we got to do the update. That's more art focused. Got some bugs. I got some orphan nodes to figure out. Disability type tracker provider. That one's going to be hard. I explained this a few weeks back, but announcements aren't centered when shown on overworld map. Now that is a problem. I wonder if I could fix that pretty easily. Let's take a look at this one. I have to go now. See you around. All right. Thanks for joining, MolCK, and I hope to see you in a future stream. And congrats again on Death Howl. It's very, very successful. Okay, so announcements aren't centered on the overworld map. So where's my announcements thing? Yeah, so basically what's happening here is that I have this margin container here, which is pushing, or I guess the control, which one is it? Yeah, this margin container here is pushing the margin out 102 pixels, and that's the width of the left-hand drawer. So like when an announcement is like a little message that appears on the screen. So when I do this, for example, and I go into alchemy and I try to close this, cards are currently being used for alchemy, remove all cards to close, right? So that's centered in this little area here. So it's excluding the width of this and it's centering the announcement. Oops. It's centering the announcement here. So it looks nice and good, right? The problem here is that if I need to show an announcement in the overworld map, see how it's offset there? And so it looks like it's not centered in this screen. So I think what needs to happen here is I need to dynamically change that margin left based on what the drawer positioning is, whether the drawer is opened or not. And unfortunately, I think that's an auto load. This announcement's here. Show in file system. I think that's an auto load. Also gotta go. Was nice tuning in. All right, thank you for joining, MKRD. Always good to see you. Have a great weekend. So this is an auto load, and I create the announcement here. Let me just check. Do I have signals in here? I don't. Do I not have any way of accessing the drawer state? Inventory toggle button. Expand for event. Emit inventory closed. Emit inventory opened. Okay. Okay, so we have these. So actually what I can do is I can probably... I need to be able to get the current state of the drawer. How do I want to do that? I mean, the simple way to do it is just is drawer expanded, is drawer expanded. This dot add to group. And then in my announcements here, what I can do is I've got this margin container. Announcement here, this margin container, which I can change the override of. So I can do private margin container, margin container. What we'll do on ready is we'll do game events dot instance dot connect, game events dot signal name dot inventory opened, callable dot from on inventory state changed, inventory closed on inventory state changed, and we can also do this on inventory state changed. Let's create this private on inventory state changed. And what we're going to do here is we can do this dot get first. Let's do this. Get tree dot get first node in group drawer UI. Var is drawer expanded is equal to that. Is drawer expanded, otherwise false. Then we can do margin container dot set theme. How do I do this? Is it not theme override? Theme overrides constants. I don't know how to actually set those margins programmatically. Add theme constant override. Okay. Private static read-only string name, margin left default value. Is drawer expanded? We're going to do margin left default value or 0. Okay, hopefully that works. We can test that out now. So now if I do this and I try to put something in alchemy here. So if I try to close this, cards are currently being used for alchemy. So if I click this a bunch of times and then I close this and open that, yeah, it gets shifted over. Now, if I was really fancy, I could animate that shift over, but I think that's okay. I fixed the main issue, which is the not being centered. So I think that's fine. I think that's okay. Okay. Fix announcement alignment based on drawer state. Hello, Defected. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, so that bug is done. That's been bothering me for a while. The to-do list is getting much shorter. It's getting shorter. It's getting a lot shorter. But anyway, that is going to be it for the stream today, though. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you all for your support. Very much appreciated. And yeah, if you want to support the game, the best way you could do that right now is you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam if you haven't already. I would very much appreciate that. You can also support me and the game on Patreon. There's a couple of great perks there, so check those out. And also, I've got my Udemy courses available for sale. That helps a lot too. But of course, you can also like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Thank you again for all your support. It's always great chatting with you all. Sounds like we need more scope creep. Yeah. But yeah, appreciate it. And I hope to see you all Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I will not be streaming probably the rest of the weekend. So yeah, we'll be back at it on Monday. And I hope to see you there. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.